Hello everyone. So we currently step into the model question paper number 2 of the upcoming Apsc mains examination. We have already gone through one session of it. Continuing to that, we come to the third question of the question paper, and the question is from the GS paper 2 part, that is, explain the meaning of fraternity as it appears in the preamble of our constitution and why the founding fathers included it. Do you believe that the concept of fraternity is more important now than even before in our country? একটু GS paper 2 সাপেক্ষে question হ'ব, পলিটিৰ question হ'ব, আৰু এই questionটোত সুধিছে যে ফ্ৰেটাৰ্নিটিটো কিহৰ কাৰণে, কি তাৰ প্ৰথমতে ফ্ৰেটাৰ্নিটিটো মিনিংটো কি আৰু কিহৰ কাৰণে আমাৰ ফাউণ্ডিং ফাদাৰ সকলে এইটো ইনক্লুড কৰিলে, কি আপোনালোকে বিশ্বাস কৰে যে ফ্ৰেটাৰ্নিটিটো এতিয়া বেছি দৰকাৰ হৈছে আগতকৈ? So let's come to the answer part. According to Dr. Ambedkar, fraternity means a sense of common brotherhood of all Indians being one people. It is the principle which gives unity and solidarity to social life. So Dr. Ambedkar mote, jijon our founding father of the Indian Constitution, what happened? That he said that fraternity is a sense of common brotherhood. আমাৰ এটা ভাই বন্ধুত্বতা থাকিব লাগে, গোটেই ইণ্ডিয়া সকল যাতে এক বুলি ভাবে নিজকে, মানে আনৰ লগত কোনো ধৰণৰ ডিফাৰেন্স নাৰাখে, চবেই নিজৰ এজন ইণ্ডিয়া বুলি ভাবে। চ' এই ইউনিটি থাকিলে কি হ'ব, ছ'চিয়েল লাইফত এটা চলিডাৰিটি আহিব। No one should treat a fellow citizen as inferior, while the morals of the preamble like justice, equality, liberty have been explicitly and implicitly ensured through fundamental rights, directive principles, and other constitutional provision. That is not in the case of fraternity. If we go through the other preamble-based morals like justice, equality, liberty, they're explicitly or implicitly ensured through different constitutional measures, provisions, like you have fundamental rights for equality, we have directive principles for justices, and different other constitutional provisions are there. But this is not in the case of fraternity. ইয়াৰ বাবে আমাৰ constitutional provision এনেকুৱা specific হিচাপে নাই। Now, fraternity in Indian context, the concept of fraternity signifies moral obligations rather than rights, an obligation to treat fellow human beings justly and respectfully. It implies placing social cohesion above individual identity. Now you know about ethics. We have already gone through ethics. Very important questions being already discussed. See, in ethics, we have values, we have moral values, and those moral values is not the kind of things that will be imposed, that should be generated. So it is fraternity again a kind of moral value, moral obligation. It's not just kind of right that you will shout for it. আমাৰ সৰুৱে ডাঙৰক যিটো আমি ৰেসপেক্ট কৰো বা ডাঙৰ সকলৰ প্ৰতি আমাৰ যিটো ৰেসপেক্ট যায়, এটো এনেকুৱা নহয় যে ডাঙৰ সকলৰ হেতু ৰাইট কাৰণে আমি হেতু কৰিছো। It's not like that. It's a kind of our ethical moral value which is actually making ourselves doing that particular thing. So it implies that we have to place social cohesion above our individual identity. That is what fraternity in Indian context. The Constitution views of fraternity significantly as a source of affirming the dignity of the individual and the unity of the nation. According to constitutional point of view, this fraternity actually needed for establishing the dignity of the individual and unity of the nation. Now, this former, that is dignity of the individual, is accomplished by recognizing the moral equality of the individuals despite our differences like religious belief, caste, language, culture, ethnicity, class, gender. This may be different, but still we consider each other as equal. We should go through some mutual respect to each other. We should not consider this type of differences like religious belief, caste, language, etc. Right? So that's why we are saying like that the dignity of individual can be affirmed through fraternity. Now, next to the next part. Both Ambedkar and Constitution derive the unity of the nation from the fraternity, not from forcing minorities to adhere to the majority and principles, but instead a sense of mutual belongingness and respect that transcends from all other differences between the people. Now what happens that there is not kind of thing that minority, majority, or majority and principle should be imposed on minorities. This is not the case in the case of India. We have a sense of mutual belongingness. We have a sense of mutual respect, and that transcends all other differences between the people, and that makes a unity among the different types of people or different parts of the society in India. So fraternity is both a way of feeling and a political principle. The idea of fraternity is closely linked to that of social solidarity, which is impossible to accomplish without public empathy. Empathy, you know from the ethic that empathy is very much required, right? The daily and life realization that human beings who look different, wear different clothes, worship different gods, speak different languages, have different political persuasion, actually have exactly the same intrinsic human dignity and experience the same emotions, dreams, hopes, despair, pain, happiness, anger, love, triumph, and defeat that we all do. So you see, we just say that we have to place social solidarity above our individual identity, because if we go to individual wise, say you believe on one particular political party, I may have different fate on I may have a fate on different political party, so we are different with individual point of view. Suppose you are from different religions, say Muslim, and I am from different religions, say Hinduism. We are different in that perspective also. Suppose I am from a different caste, you are from a different, so that's way this type of things, if we will consider, they will give a different identities. But if you don't consider them, if you only consider that intrinsic human dignity, then we all are same. How? Because we all feel the same emotions. You also have the dreams, I also have the dreams, hopes, despair, pain, happiness, anger, love, triumphs, defeats, all these same emotions of the same intrinsic human dignity we all do have. So that's why fraternity is related to the social solidarity instead of individual identity. India, which is divided on the basis of caste, which Ambedkar termed as anti-national, must overcome this hurdle to become a nation. So, you know, India is divided on the basis of caste also. But yes, indeed, this is a very different issue, and this needs a very means kind of depth discussion or arguments on the basis that whether caste system is required or not. We'll go to that in a different session. But here, according to Ambedkar, that India is divided on the basis of caste. Now, without fraternity, and then that type of division is termed as anti-national by Ambedkar, because he also from a that type of separate caste, and that's why he also felt some type of issues related to that. So that's why he himself experienced the fact and termed it as anti-national. Now, without fraternity, equality and liberty will be no differ than coats of paint. See the sentence. Without fraternity, equality and liberty will be no differ than coats of paint. So fraternity should be there, then only we can have this equality and liberty in depth sense. Dignity of individuals by maintaining material betterment of individual and democratic setup. Sense of common brotherhood transcending religion, language, transcending religions, language, regional or sectional diversities like Article 51A. This is to be promoted through single citizenship. Yes, it is promoted because in India we have, although federal kind of means what I can say system, but still we have single citizenship that makes us united, that we believe we belong to one nation. Then Supreme Court, as the ultimate protector and interpreter of our constitution, has also invoked the principle of fraternity, though it is not directly mentioned that fraternity is maintained through this kind of apex court or like this. But still, if you compare it, if you go through it analytically, then you will find that Supreme Court is also invoking the principle of the fraternity, though less frequently than the invocation of liberty and equality. Because for liberty and equality, we have separate constitutional provision, but we don't have such type of specific constitutional provision for fraternity. But still, some kind of means establishments are there which support fraternity in indirect way. Fraternity thus implies the acknowledgement that we share our space, our existence with others, including individuals of another family, tribe, and group, race, or religions who have been in India for ages, who have lived and died here, have made India what it is, a country of improbable diversity, multiplicity of religions and culture. Even if you see in Assam, it's only specific to Assam, you can see that different types of tribes are there. Even we may not able to understand that looking at particular one person that to which tribe he belongs. Yes or no? That is practically right. If you go to different districts, you may find different types along the riverside regions and in the different parts of the district or different parts of the state. Although we being united through one particular identity, that we are Assamese and above all, we are Indians. So that's where the fraternity works. Despite of this diversity, we have one identity. Then relevance of fraternity in contemporary India. Our constitution makers discussed about fraternity 75 years ago, and their views seem relevant to a present India. See, how far their thinkings are, how far beyond that time. They discussed about this 75 years ago, and which we can find relevance in current days India. There is simultaneously a precipitous decline in the civility of our public discourse, in which hectoring and blighting one's adversaries are seen as markers of higher oratory and political muscularity. This together constitute in India a grave threat to our constitutional values and most of all to fraternity. Because of the current political muscularity, we should not go through a particular point of view, but if we go through whole India, if we analyze it in state basis and different region basis, we can find somewhat a kind of grave threat to the constitutional values like fraternity, some kind of divisions we can see, right? Incidents like communal violence during 2002 Gujarat riots, ongoing Citizen Amendment Act protests and violence, North-South divide based on languages, and other social disturbances due to differences in diversity and inability to come to common terms for living in harmony are common. This type of examples we have seen. Although that Gujarat riots example of 2002 is a older one, but if you compare current Citizenship Amendment Act protests and violence, then North and South division, you know that South, what's going on actually, right? You can see in the newspapers. How much true, we have no idea until and unless we face it by ourselves. But still, we can see some kind of differences based on diversity, based on different language kind of diversity. So there is a concern in the harmony as a common interest, right? Still, secessionist movement persists, like demand for greater Nagalim, lack of unified polity manifested in temporary provisions for certain states like Article 371, border disputes, especially with Pakistan and China. At psychological level, issues include communalism, regionalism, linguism. See, communalism, regionalism, linguism, all are means kind of very grievous threats of current India, right? This we can easily find in If we look at the everyday's newspaper, we can find an article related to this based on communalism, regionalism, and linguism issues. Why these things are happening? This should not happen, right? After all, we all are Indian. But these things are happening. That's the fact. Then like demand for greater Nagalim. Why these things are happening? Why we cannot stay as united? Why this type of border violences are going on? You know that Mizoram and Assam border disputes, Meghalaya, Assam dispute, border disputes, Arunachal, Assam border disputes. These things are going on. This should not happen, should not occur if we consider each other as one, as single one identity we all are carrying with. That is the Indian, right? So somehow the fraternity is nowadays diminishing in Indian society. I mean to say like that, right? So in a nation where citizens are lean for their choice of food and communities argue for cultural and religious practices to precede constitutional guarantees, we need to adopt a way of life wherein we live the value of fraternity. Our success as a nation depends on this. The idea of fraternal relation does not exist in a vacuum. It is instead the foremost pillar on which a functioning democracy rests, and we have somehow glossed over it entirely. In that respect, we enter the 75th year of our independence. We need a reimagination of community relations. That's a very great thing. This sentence is discussing that we entered 75th year of our independence, but still we need a reimagination of community relations. The focal point of this reimagination has to be fraternity. Focal point should be fraternity, providing adequate shared space to emphasize, evolve, and foster a composite culture based on constitutional and humanitarian ideals. Otherwise, we will be proving Ambedkar's fierce right that democracy is just a top dressing on the Indian soil, which is essentially undemocratic. Ambedkar's fear was that democracy is just a top dressing on Indian soil, which is essentially undemocratic. Right? Someone will consider it as a criticism or whatever you can call, but this is going to be true if we not reimagine our communalism issues. Right? Now, thus fraternity is the most radical and important idea of our times, the necessary foundation to fight all the world's injustices, hate, and inequalities. So, fraternity is the most radical and important idea of our times. So, we came to what the question asks us to actually discuss. We come to this point that, going to different examples, we have proved that fraternity is the most radical and important idea of our times and the necessary foundation to fight all the world's injustices, hate, and inequalities. We can conclude like a fine example of what fraternity can accomplish in times of hate was offered in the last months of Mahatma Gandhi's life, which were surely his finest hour. In these months, he cemented powerfully the foundation of India as a human, inclusive, secular country. He showed us the possibilities of fraternities to imagine, live a different India. Fraternity as an important element for a strong nation state that encompasses diversity as large as that of India's. This had been cherished during nationalist freedom struggle, also reminded by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act by adding the word integrity. So we need actually fraternity as an important element for strong nation state building that will encompass diversity as large as that of India's, and also it will cherish the divine nationalist freedom struggle by reminding us for 42nd Constitutional Amendment by adding the word integrity. We have added that word. Yes, integrity. But integrity is possible only when there is fraternity. So state nation building, overall nation above all, overall social society solidarity is above the individual identity. That's all are possible because of fraternity only, and which was realized for 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, because integrity should be there. That's why that word integrity is being added. So that's how we have answered this question. A kind of long discussion takes place. I don't think that I need to go to the next question. We'll go through it in the next session, in the next questions. That's all for this session. Thank you.